Okay, review for September 8th through the 12th, the weekly. Let's go ahead and do a quick recap on the daily. Basically, very similar patterns. What we're seeing, this is the daily chart, and we continue to see, for example, this day here on the 2nd came down and rinsed out 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So it rinsed out the daily rinse, almost the 10-day. Came down, but then went to new all-time highs. And that pattern's been happening now for several months now. Happening back here, comes rinses everybody out, makes new all-time highs. Comes down here on the 20th, rinsed out 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. We're in 10-day rinse, new all-time highs. So yeah, this keeps happening. Another note is, for example, let's say this was a 15-minute chart. You'd be looking at, okay, where's the rinse? And you'd be like, okay, we've got support here, you got support there, okay, there'd be a rinse below this, and that happened. Okay, so let's look at the next couple days for this week, because that's really all that we can do is with our jobs is to look at the next 1 to 5 days. So yeah, it took out the 20. Now we're back way back, made all new all-time highs on Friday, and now we're back above the 8 and the 20. So the kind of the interesting thing about this chart though is that we've had the RSI hit 50 like 3 times now, and if you look at like a 15-minute chart, anytime it holds above the 50 RSI for an extended period of time, you're continually in a trend. And then what happens, the rinse will go down below the 50 RSI. It'll come all the way down here, and sometimes get like really down. It'll like be super oversold, which is what happened here on the 2nd, and also Friday morning. And then it just reverses right back up. So but it'll keep everybody in a like just a moving average trend trade until it does its full rollover. Then it goes back to a moving average trend trade, and just keeps happening. So, and then what we have to do is we have to look at smaller time frames. So what we're going to do for this week is we've already had the big rinse out earlier in the week. Then we had a big rinse out on Friday. And what's that do? Well, it balances the boat, so to speak. And so we're going to go down to smaller time frames, and I don't have any data connection yet, so as far as Sunday night futures, but it doesn't matter. We've already, and what you'll do is once it does this, it'll just slowly recapture the moving averages in smaller time frames until it's like, oh, it's above the 1580, and now it's above the 1520. Oh, now it's hitting the 68, and then here we are on a Fibonacci 2. We're almost to a full 50% rebalance, and then you'll probably see some sideways chop for a while as it decides if it wants to just keep grinding up. But this was a pretty big move here, and so now we're in this weekly range between 65.40 and 64.51. So 100-point range, and they already made up almost 50 points of this move after it happened, and that's just exactly what happens, because it's just the nature of the market. It's a buyer's market all the time, and then people just take profits and rinse, and some kind of drama, and then it goes back up. So these days are these candles are what you want to just step away from and wait until it hits a major retracement level on a daily or a weekly, and then you go back to like a long kind of like, okay, here we go. The ATR will drop, and then you'll get back into something like this. So there's economic data on Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. So Monday and Tuesday, there's no big news coming out. We've already had a lot of volatility from Friday, so I suspect Monday's going to be a light duty day as far as average trading range, and unless there's some sort of macroeconomic news or geopolitical thing that I haven't seen yet. I try just to watch the candles and not necessarily, be plugged into the news. It's just exhausting. Just watch the way the ball bounces. So, so the plan for tomorrow is, since I'm going to switch back to a 15-minute chart. And since we've already you can kind of see this 11, it just went, it ranged, and I was like, what are we going to do? What are we going to do? Then it broke below this 64.70, rinsed everybody out, and then went back above the 60.48. So now we're just in this tight range here. We're back above the 15.20. I'm going to look for, we're in an ascending pennant now. So I'll be looking for, and then again, we have this 64.96. So the thing to watch for is it'll trickle up all the way probably to 65.14, previous day's high. It'll probably go above the previous day's high because that's where everybody puts their short stops. And then up around 65.22 is going to be where it gets interesting as far as if sellers will come in at that area, but it'll be interesting if people just buy it. And if it does just be like a 30-second trend trade up in here, and it just keeps kind of going tick, 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 then it's just going to go to new all-time highs of the weekly. But if on a 15-minute candle it has some shape going into this 65.23 area, it immediately reverses back down and it gets below 6,500, then we're probably going to see some more sideways consolidation. But likely overnight, this ascending pennant channel will be completed, and then I'll just delete these lines, and then we'll see where we're at between previous weekly low and current weekly high. But as I mentioned before on that daily, based on just where we're at for the year and how there's the seasonal long bias coming up for the holidays, that the market wouldn't love to just rinse everybody out and then go back to and close the year at new all-time highs. So let's go ahead and jump back to the daily on this. And come on, Ninja Trader. And then just look at this monthly stuff. So yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if we have some kind of a pullback down here below the August lows into like that 6,200 area, and then go all the way back above 6,500. So especially with that daily RSI bouncing 3 times now on the 50, but this will just be a buying opportunity down here, and hopefully it happens quickly, something like this where it's just 2 days and then we get back to just that. But I've also seen in some of the daily charts that we're seeing, it takes a long time for these like sell fades to happen. And if that's the case, we could have 2 or 3 or 4 or a week of sell fades. But typically, it just hasn't been the pattern. It gets there and then reverses. So that being said, let's jump back to the 15-minute chart. Here are the things I'll be watching for Monday, September 8th, 9th, 10th, 11th, and the 12th. This week is I'm expecting, unless the economic data that comes out on Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday is shocking, I'm expecting really a range bound week with limited volatility, and which means you're just going to be looking at range plays from 3 to 7 points on like 15-minute charts, which that's my feeling of what to expect. So that being said, for Monday, I'm looking for, we're already supported by the 15.8. I'm looking for a trend trade up to the next couple days for Monday and Tuesday, I'm looking for a trend trade up to above this 65.16 high, and continuation of this ascending pennant channel with rinses on the like hourly chart, especially at the open or the close. You just get these like, you know, I see them on the, especially the 120-minute chart. You'll just, you know, for example here, you get a rinse, you get a rinse, you get a rinse, and a bounce. So um, just be looking at these 2 hour candle rinse levels. Once it gets above this 6,500 and we get up in here, we might have a rinse back down here to the 6480 level, 6479 kind of thing. So I'll be looking for that long trend trade with the rinses all the way up until we get to the 6522, and then there's probably a good chance that we're, like I said before, we're getting into that time of year where it's not going to want to just keep breaking out to all-time highs, and we'll get that choppy wrench down to the 6200. So then you'll be looking to kind of sell the 6523 area, and yeah, that's the plan. Trade them well.